Okay, so after I lecture, can you go to you want to print this again? This one is a new
version
date, and then you check reference and also listen. Yeah. I have revised something, and you will use new version to revise. Okay, so can I see my head? Okay, students, are you there? Today we are going to maybe a little bit. Okay, so today we will start our lecture in chapter 5. Okay. Are you there? Maybe we check attendance first to see everyone here. There was one student from foreign countries. She still not here. Okay, we'll check attendance first before starting the lecture. Can you? Oh, sorry. Is it correct?
Yeah.
All right. So let me set. Go to the list. Okay. 吕玉佩
are you here?
are you here?吕玉佩 today not here. Suti, are you here? Suti, you here or not? Yang Qiyu,
Yes.
are you here? You here, right? Yang Suhua, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Zheng Ziwei, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Cai Shaoyu, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Liang Yiting, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Wang Yichen, you there? Wang Yichen, are you there? Luo Yiting, are you there? Luo Yiting,
Yes, I'm here. 他刚才去厕所，那个王雨辰。
Hey, Luo Yiting, your pronunciation seems to be wrong.
他说
停啊。
Yes, I'm here.
How about your pronunciation? Ting, they pronounce T-I-N-G. I think we should change to T-I-N-G.
为什么？
就那拼音有错。
就是停是 TING。
T-I-N-G 呢？你可能要再跟系这边。不然你以后你都是永远都会这样的。
Wang Yucheng.
I'm here.
Okay. Lan Yuyan.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Li Chung Chao Ti. Hello. Lin Chao Ti.
Here.
Are you here? Nicole, are you?
I am here.
Okay. Jia Bei Yu.
TT Chao is here.
Okay. Jia Pei Yu, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Lily.
Hey, I'm here.
Okay. How can I call you?
I'm here.
Okay. Xiao Ju.
I'm here. I'm Casey.
Okay, now.
好，拜拜。
So Chen Shoti not here, right?
自己那些。然后就跳出去。
And Yin Pei also not come.
老师，
你也在吗？
啊，王雨辰在这。
王雨辰哦。
对。
老师吕佩也在。
Yin Pei怎么没有回答？
我刚刚不知道怎么开。
哦，好 ，Okay, all right. And we go to the lecture today. Is chapter 5, and then the topic today is about perception, and also the perception influence on the people's decision making. Okay, so remember or not, maybe only a few months ago, you decide to enter Nanhua University. So before you choose Nanhua University, what do you perceive? Perceive means a kind of 知觉, a kind of perception about this university. Okay. For example, our TA come from Cambodia. And then Cambodia is actually very far away from here, with thousands of miles away. And then, for example, if I ask you, what do you perceive about Taiwan? You can talk a lot of, for example, Alisan or Zuyuan or whatever. But for those Cambodia students, they didn't learn a lot of knowledge about Taiwan. They only know that Taiwan is a very small island and very small country. However, it seems to be technology very good, that's all.
Yeah.
So when I go to Cambodia to recruit students, actually, they don't know a lot. And then, and I say, Nanhua is very beautiful campus. They say, how much beautiful? Then I don't know how to say to them. So perception is a kind of experience from your knowledge. Okay. For example, many of you know that Taiwan was originally occupied by Holland, the Dutch, right? Which is about 350 years ago. And do we know who is the one that defeated the Dutch? Do you know? Zheng Chenggong. Do you know Zheng Chenggong? Can you answer me? Do you know Zheng Chenggong or not? Hello?
Yes.
Who is answering? Will. So, how do you perceive Zheng Chenggong? He is a good guy or a bad guy, a very strong person, or whatever. Do you know, how do you perceive Zheng Chenggong? Huh? Yeah. Okay, Xuanzu, can you answer me? Who is Zheng Chenggong? In your history book, do you know Zheng Chenggong or not?
Yes.
You know. So he is the one.
I know.
Huh?
我知道郑成功啊。
So Zheng Zhengong is the one that, you know, he is actually his father is a officer of the Ming Dynasty. Okay. And however, the transfer from Ming Dynasty to Qing Dynasty, his father called Zheng Zhilong, and the new dynasty, 就是清朝, give his father a lot of money. And finally, Zheng Zhilong, his father, then surrendered to the new dynasty and become a very rich officer. In this moment, Zheng Zhengong, he do not feel that he should obey. Okay, but his father already obeyed. Okay, so one day he decided to go out of the country. I think it's around 350 years ago. And he decided to go to Singapore. And it is a very small ship. Total ship, about 250 ships from Hokkien, from Hokkien, and gradually 250 fishing boat, fishery. It's a very small boat actually. And then come to Tainan, to go through Taiwan Strait, and gradually want to pass by to Singapore. However, you know, in Taiwan, it's very often have typhoon, right? So typhoon suddenly comes. And then Zheng Zhengong do not know how big the typhoon and how long will be the typhoon. So Zheng Zhengong under the ships, Zheng Zhengong prayed to the Mazu, you know Mazu. Do you know Mazu? And then Zheng Zhengong prayed to the Mazu, say, can I go or I should stop? Okay, because the food is limited. Every boat, the food is very limited. So if the team decide to stay, they need to take the island and then try to get food. Otherwise, all of them will die. Okay. So based on my knowledge, maybe you know the history is written by someone. And when I was a young man like you, students, the history written is like this. Say Zheng Zhengong is a hero. And then after Mazu say you should stay, he then occupied, surrounded one island called Luomen in Tainan. And this Luomen is actually the capital of Holland, of the Dutch people. And then 200 ships suddenly surround the island and then stop the water because the island actually has no water. The water need to come from Taiwan and shipping. But he has suddenly surrounded and seems to be he's very, very strong. You know, the Dutch people always use the gun, boom, 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 right? Yeah. But Zheng Zhengong normally use the knife. And then, do you know how to do? In Taiwan or in Hokkien, there is a kind of 藤条，你们知道藤条怎么讲英文吗？ He used the shoot with a Taiwanese some kind of bamboo. And then bamboo is very light, right? So when the gun shoot to the bamboo, 不是 bamboo 是一种藤条 then 藤条 suddenly cannot go through the body. But the shear is very light. So at 350 years ago, when the soldiers try to hit, but after that they need to put the new bullet. So they need time from one shoot to another shoot. So Zheng Zhengong is the soldier is so smart and so fast that they will try to receive the hit, and then after that, then suddenly he reached the people. The people is changing the bullet, but the knife already on the heart. So here he killed a lot of person. In about 4 days, the officer, the top officer's house, called Ci Kan Lou. You know Ci Kan Lou. Ci Kan Lou is the Holland highest officers building. And Ci Kan Lou was lost in about 4 days. That means because they don't expect that any soldiers will come. So in about 4 days, the officer decided to retreat to another island. And so Zheng Zhengong get a house to live. And after that, then they go to Luomen and try to fight. In about a few fightings, he is so good, especially in the water fighting. Very, is much more better than the Dutch people. And then he occupied the Taiwan. That means the Dutch become the island, and he occupied the island, and then he decided to go to the north. And then, first of all, the troop is not going to so far. Jiayi already, of course, he occupied. And then up to Lugang. Lugang means Zhanghua, also occupied. But one day, his troop, he raised his horse, go to one mountain called Tiezhanshan. You know, Taichung has one mountain called Tiezhanshan. And he just decided to fight with someone because they have local citizens, local Taiwanese citizens, 是原住民. And then on the night, he's sleeping in some house, and he has a dream. The dream says, you are a fish god. You cannot go to a mountain. Especially, you cannot go to Tiezhanshan. You know, Tiezhanshan means that the mountain is like a plate, and this plate is used to kill the fish. Tiezhan means kill the fish. And make a very clear dream to Zheng Zhengong, say, you should avoid to attack this mountain. You should go back and go to the sea to fight. And the next day, Zheng Zhengong say, oh, why the dream is so clear? And by the way, I'm not a god. I don't believe the dream. So he continued to fight. But he is very careless that one Jin hurt him very hard. So he just stayed in Taiwan for 10 months. He already occupied the whole Taiwan and defeat Dutch, asked Dutch to go back, and Taiwan become his territory, but up to Taichung, he cannot go north, and he died. And after that, his son called Zheng Jin is still a very good fighter also. He has experience to fight back to Nanjing, who at the time Qing dynasty is still not very strong. So he go to Nanjing and then sometimes go back. That means he tried to fight, and fight is good, but cannot maintain. So Zheng Jin occupied the kingdom for 21 years. and then Zheng Zhengong 10 months. So we call the Zheng dynasty in Taiwan occupied about 22 years. So Zheng Zhengong grandson called Zheng Keshuang, at the time Qin already very strong, and they sent troops to fight, and then his grandson, because the Qin dynasty say, don't fight, become our officers. I guarantee that you will get very high-ranking officers in Beijing, and I will give you a lot of money. So don't fight. And he agreed, and he finally, the Qin also promised, and he became the officer of Beijing until he died. And the dynasty was ended. So my question is that, for me, Zheng Zhengong is a hero. Why he's a hero? He's the one that fight with Dutch. And Dutch at that time is very strong. You know, when Zheng Zhengong fight with the small boat, all boat destroyed. And then from Dutch, from Europe, they sent two ships. Each ship is very big, each ship with 2,000 people. And Zheng Zhengong used the bamboo to stop the bullet and kill the people. So the people were so afraid that signed agreement with Zheng Zhengong, said, from now on, we give up Taiwan. And again, what is your perceptions, you know, about someone? What is your perception about Nanhua University? And what is your perception about Zheng Zhengong, for example? And what is the perception about Chiang Kai-shek? That different writing and different story will perceived by you and me differently. You know what I mean? So we go to the PowerPoint first. Okay, so can you see the PowerPoint now? Okay, this one. So perception is a process by which individuals organize and interpret their sensory impression to give meaning to that environment. So, for example, give meaning as a hero in Taiwan named Zheng Zhengong. When I was young, I also teach in Cheng Kung University in Tainan. Okay, and then I want to read the history of Zheng Zhengong and also Tainan. So why the university name Cheng Kung? Because Cheng Kung means Zheng Zhengong, right? But at the time, the university do not believe that their name come from Zheng Zhengong. The history is like this. By the year of 1967, the government, the economic growth in Taiwan seems to be better and better. But the Chiang Kai-shek do not feel that Zheng Zhengong is a good hero, because he died very soon, and he do not have the ability to occupy the whole China. By the year of 1967, Chiang Kai-shek says, I want to occupy the whole China again. So they don't follow Zheng Zhengong. Zheng Zhengong is actually a fair people. Fair people means they escape from mainland China and come to Taiwan. Situation is very similar. The Chiang Kai-shek travel in China and come to Taiwan. But Chiang Kai-shek at the time, he decided to go back. He said, in my life, I will occupy the whole China again. I will defeat Mao Zedong. I will defeat those people. And then he also never fulfilled until he died. But at the time, even Chenggong, I say, why Chenggong Daxue is located in Tainan? And Tainan is the capital of Zhengzheng. So this should be some relation, right? You know, the history says. And by the year of 1967, we actually developed two universities at the same time. And one is Zhongxin Daxue, Taichung, and one is Chenggong Daxue. So it is in one case that Chiang Kai-shek want to name Chenggong Daxue in Taichung, and then Zhongxin Daxue in Tainan. Chenggong means success, to occupy the whole China again. Zhongxin means I fail you, but on the halfway I then recover again. Zhongxin. So by this fact, they say Chenggong Daxue has no relation with Zheng Chenggong. But Zheng Chenggong is located in Thailand, and Zheng Chenggong fight the Dutch in Thailand, and Zheng Chenggong is located in Thailand, and Chenggong Daxue also located in Taiwan. So in Thailand, so there's no. It's very difficult to say. So until the death of Chiang Kai-shek, then Chenggong Daxue then say, okay, Chenggong Daxue means to memorize Zheng Chenggong in recent days. Okay. So the perception is very difficult and very process individual interpretation of the sensory impression. For example, in the history, we sometimes say this kingdom very good and this kingdom very bad, and so on and so forth, right? There's one kingdom called Yongzheng. Student, do you know Yongzheng? Yongzheng. Can you answer me? Yongzheng. 清朝的永正皇帝。Huh? Hey, you have no response to me. Why? Did you hear me? Hello? Hello? Are you all sleeping? Hey, can you answer me? Anyone?
Yes.
Hey, okay, you still here, but you are lazy to listen to me. Are you sleeping? Okay, maybe you don't like my examples. I will end my example in 1 minute. There's one empire called Yongzheng. Yongzheng is the empire that continue from Qing Kangxi. Kangxi is a very long empire. Kangxi become the empire, become the kingdom by the year of 3 years old he is, and he took the office by 61 years. So actually, for 61 years, actually the empire already corruption. And then his son called Yongzheng tried to do a lot of things to, for example, cut the budget, stop the corruptions, and try to redo some things, and try to fight against a lot of people, something like that. And then it says that he is not a good guy, a kindly guy. But on the other hand, the perception say he never sleep more than 6 hours per day. He is on the position for 14 years, but he worked very hard and tried to save the country. And then, but he is the one that need to totally monopoly, means the authority is very high. there's one day, his very best friend called Lian Gengyao. When he was young, he's only the son of the king, so he cooperated with Lian Gengyao. Lian Gengyao is also a very good guy, and then he swore to the God with Lian Gengyao, say, if I get the kingdom, if you help me to get the kingdom, we will be totally friends and share the power forever until I die. If not, my head will separate from my body. Okay? And then after that, Lian Gengyao is also a very talented guy, especially on military. And he helped Yongzheng to, because Yongzheng has 14 sons, so he helped him to get the empire. But after that, he feels that his friend want to share the position. He become very unhappy. So originally he is the top, the highest military top. But he's very unhappy about his friend. So he downgrade to let his friend become the gatekeeper. That means he's the total highest position. And then in 3 days, he downgrade the guy to go to the soldiers on the gate. And his friend is very unhappy. Say, that day you swear with me. You say, if you get a kingdom, you will be sure to get the power with me. And then why you never share me and also downgrade me from the top general, meaning maybe the Minister of Defense to soldiers. So in another day, his friend called Lian Gengyao say, my wisdom is very poor. I just cannot see a guy that swears with me, and I should see him before I swear. So he take the eyes out. 有眼无珠，有眼无珠就是说 why my eyes so bad? I see this kingdom, but finally he downgrade me from Minister of Defense until the soldier. So he take 2 eyes out, and he say, I cannot see, but I swear that one day your head will be separate from your body because you already swear to the God. So now I cannot see your head anymore. I take my eyes and die. 就连根瑶就是说有眼无珠的故事，他就把他眼睛挖起来，然后就死了。However, this Yongzheng also very strong, very centralized, everything decided, and he's doing a lot of job, and he never sleep more than 6 hours per day. In about 14 years, one lady just jumped in to the palace and then take his head and then run away. So, but the kingdom, the history just cannot say the head is away. Just say he is, for example, catching a very heart attack, something, just died. Because the whole dynasty cannot say my kingdom head was lost. And then again, what is the perception about Yongzheng? Yongzheng actually do a lot of things and do a lot of help to Qing dynasty to stabilize. But on the other hand, he is not a guy who is just this. He is not a so-called a reliable guy. That means he want to get the power, and after that he just try to. And this is a typical example. Deng Liao is so unhappy that I help you to get the kingdom, and you ask me from Minister of Education and go down and go down and go down until the soldier. And he said, I have eyes, but I have no seeing. My seeing is so bad. I'm so short seeing, and he died. Okay, this is another example about perception, that different people will perceive differently. So it is important to the study of OB people. Behavior are based on their perception of what reality is, not on reality actually. That means from this side, we say perception, there's no right or wrong. Just depends on what perspective, what angle you see. For example, you see different angle of the elephant. You see from the side, you see from the back, you see from the front, and your perception will be totally different. So it's perception of what reality is, not what reality itself. Okay. And this is the one of the framework. For example, the factors influence perception. Well, the factor in the perceivers may be the attitude, the motives, the interest, the experience, and the expectations. And then perception also influenced by time factor. For example, time, work setting, social setting, and the other factors in the target, for example, novelty, motion, sounds, size, background, proximity, similarity, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the factors, for example, situation factors, perceiving factors, and also some of the target factors that influence people's perception. So there's one theory called attribution theory, suggests that when we observe an individual behavior, we attempt to determine whether it was internally or externally. And the determination depends on three factors: distinctiveness, consensus, and also consistency. Distinctiveness means that the things that we see is very different. For example, in Taiwan, we say Kuomintang and Minjintang is very different. They are very distinctive. And consensus means it's a kind of totally agree or not agree. And consistency is the opinion is keep. For example, today is this opinion. For example, today your perception of Nanhua University compared to maybe 4 years later, your perception, and compared to 20 years from now, so on, okay? So we try to say there's internal cause and external cause. The internal cause of attribution is influenced by a internal of the body. So internal cause is believed to be under the personal control of the individual. For example, internal motivation. And then external cause is resulting from outside influence. Okay, for example, the outside situation very different. Okay, this drawing says attribution theory. The left-hand side is observation, and then we use three factors to do interpretation, and then another is going to be attribution of cause. So three of them: distinctiveness, consensus and also consistency, they all have external causes and internal causes. Okay, so they are attribution theory. So some of the fundamental attribution errors, we have a tendency to underestimate the influence of external factors and overestimate the influence of internal or personal factors. Today, there's a war. Every day, TV say the war between Russia and Ukraine, right? In the beginning, we always say Ukraine is very weak because they don't have a lot of weapons. For example, airplane or tank or soldiers and so on and so forth. And they are not very focused on military training. So everybody says Ukraine will be surrounded very soon, right? Because Russian is so huge and Russian is so experienced. Russian fight against, for example, Russian fight to Afghanistan. Russian fight to another country, Georgia or whatever. They have, every time they training to fight. And Ukraine actually, they don't fight. And then, but until today, I think it's almost 20 days, right? Ukraine still get a lot of weapons. Indirectly from other countries. I think especially the friends of America. For example, the weapon come from Poland, come from Czech Republic, and also Lithuania and Slovenia. Some of them, they are good friends of American, and they have a lot of weapons. Yesterday I saw TV. On the midnight, the weapons was shipped from Czechoslovakia. Totally 50 trucks with different kind of weapons. And then because this is midnight and this is Czechoslovakia, so they just go. And until nearly the morning, still dark, and they touch to the border of Ukraine. And then suddenly, so many people come. Many small cars, motorcycles. They come from different places, and they take all the weapons, and then suddenly, in a few minutes, they just run away. That means 45 cars, 45 trucks. The weapon is a lot. And then they have some kind of communication, say, you take this one, you take this one, you take this one. And suddenly they have some taken by motorcycle, some taken by small car, Volkswagen, some taken by jeeps, and some taken by hand also. They just suddenly come and then take away. So the Russian even do not know where is the weapon come from, because it is midnight. And I think Russian is sleeping. So this, if you see the external factor, Ukraine should surrounded maybe 10 days ago. But internally, they have a lot of, so some factors, okay. And then self-serving bias, individual attribute their own success to internal factors. For example, some student, you may say, I can imagine that you in your midterm exam, and you will say, my midterm exam is no good. So so-called internal factor means what? I will try to, internal factor means I try to review, I'm working hard to prepare for exam or not. Then this we call internal factor. I will review by myself, I will do a self-monitoring, and I will review, say, oh, I'm not very good. I sleep a lot, I didn't prepare the exam. And this is one kind of factor. But another factor, the student will say, well, I study very hard already. It is the professor that do not teach very well. Then we say external error. External error means that when something happened to me, I will say, I don't have error. They all their error. Okay? All their error. For example, you have accidents, and you will say, oh, this government error or the people error. I have no error. But some people will say, oh, today I'm not so lucky, and I should try to slowly, more careful. So we have some people is internal oriented, and some people external oriented, and these all may be biased. Okay. All right, up to this, we can take a 10-minute break, please. All right, now we say the selective perception. This one. Selective perception, that means every day we perceive a lot of things, but only those important things that we will perceive. Okay, we normally will try to neglect a lot of perceptions. Okay, so when the characteristic that makes a person, object, or event stand out, then the probability to perceive is higher. Otherwise, everybody will face upon a lot of things, then a lot of perception will be suddenly forget. And halo effect means the people will perceive following the effect occur maybe a few years ago. Okay, so when we see, okay, maybe a few years ago, let's say, let's say in one city, it's very traffic, and then even in 1 hour, you cannot go to 1 kilometer. So you always perceive that that city is that kind of things. But when the city already reorganized, maybe the traffic already improved. And then we always say the halo effect means if you was catched by a snake one night, so it become very terrible. And then one day, every time you see a loop, you already think this is a snake. So this we call 一朝被蛇咬，10年怕草绳. So once I see the loop, I'm afraid that this is a snake. And this is halo effect. And then contrast effect means that we do not evaluate a person in isolation. So when we say our perception, normally is also influenced by other person's opinion. Okay. For example, I say Nanhua University is good, but the other 3 students say no good, then I will be influenced by them. That means my attribution will be different. And stereotype is to judge someone based on one's perception of the group to which the person belongs. So I always stereotype, I was focused on that type that never changed. So we always say, oh, this is the year that already go to 2022, but your idea is still stay in 2002. That means you never try to change and try to do something else. And then application of shortcuts of the organization. For example, employment interview. The evidence indicates that interviews make a perception judgment that are often inaccurate. An interview generally draws early impressions that become very quick entrenched. And studies indicate that most interviewers' decision change very little after the first 4 or 5 minutes of interview. Normally, for example, we are recruiting some people, and then each interview maybe only 3 minutes. So we always say interview maybe make some mistake. So in terms of recruiting people, we normally have some examination first, and then examination, then pick up the better ones. And then after that, this is better ones, and we just pick up someone else. That's it, better. And evidence demonstrates that people will attempt to validate their perception of reality, even when those perceptions are faulty. So self-fulfilling prophecy or Pygmalion effect. This is characterized by the fact that people's expectation determine their behavior. Okay, so if I expect to go very high motivation, and sooner or later I will go. And performance evaluation, an employee's performance appraisal is very much depend on the position process. The many jobs are valued by subjective terms, and subjective measures are problematic because selective position, contrast effect, and halo effect, and so on. So the link between perception and decision making. Individuals make decisions, choose from 2 or more alternatives. So decision making is a reaction of the problems. There is a discrepancy between some current state of affairs and some desired state. Require consideration of alternative course of action. For example, one person's problem is another person's satisfactory state of affairs. Okay. So decision making normally is to try to do observation of the problem. So we have rational model and also Bang rationality model. Our rational model is that to define the problem, to identify the criteria, to allocate the weight of the criteria, and to develop alternatives, to evaluate alternatives, and to select the best solution. And this we call, everything is very clear and very rational. We assume in the rational model is that a complete information. We all have all information. There's no other information that is able to identify all relevant options in an unbiased manner. And we choose in the option with the highest utility. So most decisions in the real world don't follow this rational model. Therefore, we say Bang rationality model. Bang rationality means we sacrifice something that we don't understand. Okay? We just use a bound. And within this bound is rationality. But outside the bound, no one can guarantee. Okay? And most people respond to complex problem by reducing it to the level at which it can be readily understood. So people may sacrifice something. They seek solutions that are satisfactory and sufficient. So we always say the solution is not perfect but acceptable. Okay. We always say, I complain to the university, but I still can accept your improvement. That means I just do a sacrifice solution. So individual operate within the confines of boundary rationality. They construct very simple models. They extract the essential features. But this is only boundary rationality. There's no very clear information at all. So how does the boundary rationality work? Once a problem is identified, the search for criteria and option begins. A limited list of more conspicuous choice is identified. So the decision maker then review the list, looking for a solution that is good enough. Okay, not good enough means the answer for boundary rationality. Not the best answer. That's good enough. It's okay. So in many cases in business operation, we always say good enough answer, not the most optimization answer. Okay. Next one, we're talking about intuitions. So-called intuitive decision making occurs outside conscious thought. It relies on holistic association. Link between disparate pieces of information is fast and is effectively charged, meaning it usually engages in emotions. So the key is neither to abandon nor rely solely on intuition, but to supplement it with evidence and good judgment. Okay, so sometimes we face upon some kind of intuition and try to make decision. Okay. For example, in Ming Dynasty, there's one guy called one guy, Ming Dynasty, one guy called Hong Chenzhou. He's also very high ranking and defend the Qing Dynasty in the Northwest. So he's the one sit there that he has about more than 100,000 soldiers, very strong, very strong. And then but still Qing Dynasty even stronger. So one day, Hong Shenzhou was arrested. Okay, so after he was arrested, he is simply ready to die. He said, I was arrested by my enemy, so I'm ready to die. But the Qing people is very smart to see what he say and what he do. So he always say, please let me die. But on the other hand, his clothes is very clean. So they asked him to sit down to the ground. And the clothes become dirty, right? So when the general stand up, he cleaned the dust. 就是把那个灰尘都把它拍掉这样。所以 therefore, the Qing Dynasty say these people actually do not ready to die. They can become our soldier, our officer. Because in the beginning, the new dynasty knew the old people who surrounded. So he's a strong guy, and then finally he become a very strong officer in the new dynasty because of that intuition. Intuition means that I say I want to die, but my intention is not to die. We can see that the dust all clean. If the people is ready to die, actually they don't care about clothes. Yeah. They don't care about what is the face. And then they are ready to die. Why you take care of this, right? So only a very small intuition will very influence on another decision making. And focus on goal. If without the goal, then we cannot. We can be rational. You don't know what information you need. You don't know which information is relevant or irrelevant to the goal. And you will find it difficult to choose between alternatives. And you are far more likely to experience regret over the choice that you make. So clear goal, make decision maker easier and help you eliminate options that are inconsistent with your interest. So the goal means I'm interested in this kind of target. Okay. You know, for example, the founder of Acer, called Shi Zhenong. Actually, he graduated from Jiao Tong Daxue. He and his wife and 3 friends, totally 5 people. They already learned some knowledge about computer, but they don't like to become the employee of some company. They just say, let's start with a small workshop. So they rent a house and 5 people, our classmates after graduate. And then they start doing start developing at that time is not the computer, laptop, and then they buy small piece, and because they have no labor cost, only 5 people. So 5 people is to get in some money, that's all. No building, no direct cost, indirect cost, whatever, no need, no bonus. So gradually become very successful. Okay, this is that they have very clear goal that I want to set up a company and then with low cost. Okay. Another example is Ma Yun. Do you know Alibaba? They want to do online. So in the beginning stage, they want to set online. And actually, Ma Yun is a English teacher, and he's graduate. He's not graduate from Tsinghua Daxue or Beijing. He's a very not very good in reading in examination, but he's very good in speaking. At that time, he met a Taiwanese guy. This guy called, I forget. This guy actually, his father-in-law is the chairman of Qimei. Qimei is also a very big enterprise in Taiwan, but he is I don't know, also a very rich guy, and he went to United States to learn about online. So he then joint venture with him because his major is online and also law. So he joined with him, and this Taiwanese guy tried to help him to set up the company, try to control the cost, and try to make the operation mode. And actually, mine is also very smart. So he also very strong money creator. So now mine is still very big shareholder on Alibaba. But mine gets some trouble because of what? Because of the 支付宝 means when you buy the product from Alibaba, you need a card to pay, right? So he released the card to everyone. That means you need to put the money in the card, so car can buy the product from Alibaba. And then after that, he thinks that, oh, some people have no money, right? Even have a car is no use. So mine start doing loan to borrow money. And then this borrow actually is not very allowed to the government of China. That means this is only car. Car means to pay the money. But now you can get money from the car. Because sometimes the people have no money, right? They say, okay, Alibaba, you give me money. So the people, even they don't buy the products from Alibaba, they still get money. So Zhifubao become so huge that it become a very big bank because everybody like to borrow money from Alibaba, not from bank, because bank procedure is so complicated. So now he is facing a lot of problem with the government. That means that your action is illegal. And then, but again, Alibaba Mine also focus on gold. Very success. Then I focus on gold. I will try to go. Recently, ASUS, you know, actually this ASUS president now is used to be the research manager in Acer. He is taking care of the technology in Acer. But one day he say, "Oh, Acer always focus on low cost." That is not true. So he decided to then separate and then say ASUS. So compared to Acer today, ASUS seems to be more successful due to the technology oriented and price it pretty higher. And then they also, for example, Acer go to Russia and still very successful. So that means that Acer try to do a differentiation strategy, and Acer try to do a cost leadership strategy, and then the philosophy then separate. Again, this is also the goal. That means my goal is to technology. Your goal is cost leadership, something like that. And then we go to say that look for information that disconfirm your beliefs. One of the most effective means for counteracting overconfidence and the confirmation that highlights bias is to actively look for the information that contradict your belief and assumptions. When we overly consider various ways we could be wrong, we challenge our tendencies to think when we are smarter than we actually are. Okay, so we need to contrast information. So our original feeling seems to be overconfidence. And then when we cannot get, then we try to see what happened. Okay, so many people, many failures are due to overconfidence. That means they say, I'm the best. And when I come, everybody should follow me. That means everybody should give me away. But actually, it's not. So in Taiwan, for example, one company already there. So if I want to set another company, I have to be very careful because they already there. If I compete with them, finally maybe I fail. Okay. The next one, don't try to create meaning out of random event. That means the educated mind has been trained to look for cause and effect relations. When something happens, we ask why. Then we can not find reasons. We often invent them. So you have to accept that there are events in life that are outside your control. Ask yourself if the pattern can be meaningful as friends, or whether they are merely coincidence. So sometimes, for example, you are the basketball player. One day, when I was young, I like to play basketball, but my skill no good. But I don't know, one day I become the first player, and suddenly in 5 minutes I get a 5 shoot. But after that, nothing. That means it's a random effect, a very coincidence. That means I'm actually not so strong. But due to whatever reason, I just become strong for just 5 minutes. And this one we call random effect. Mandalay effect means for that day it was Superman. But after that, you become nothing. Right? And then time happen because sometimes maybe the God will help you. For example, by the year of 1983, I just took my master's degree from Donghai University and graduated. And my professor said, your level is very high. You need to go to the government exam to get a scholarship from the government. You can get a PhD in overseas. So I always say, no, I'm very bad. And professor called me again. Did you prepare to go or not? So I also not very aggressive. I feel that I'm not so capable. I only show you capable in one time. So one day, I take my kids, go to the temple. There's one temple in Kaohsiung. And then to pray for the small God, sometimes the God is very small but very powerful. And I pray to the God, small God, say sometimes, please let me become pass the exam, and then I will award you by gold. Because sometimes he is asking that if I promise you, you need to give me a gold like this, gold plate. So I say, please give me, that means I passed the exam, national exam, then I will go to the United States to get a PhD. If that is the case, I will give you the. Okay, so, and then after that, about 3 months, I try to read something. Then I go to Taipei to exam, because only Taipei can exam. And then the first day, three courses. I always do nothing. That means my answer very bad. And then I come back, say I must be failing. But I pray to my God again, say, please let me good in next two courses tomorrow. So it seems by the God of help. The second day is about composition. And then I read some story, I read some typical example. And next day it comes, my same topic. And then that is about composition, Chinese. But another course, next course is marketing. So I also do not prepare very well, but I imagine that VMC means vertical marketing. Vertical marketing at the time, by the year of 1983, is still not very popular in Taiwan. That means the manufacturer will occupy the channel. For example, 7-Eleven was occupied by Tongyi. So that means that there's a vertical integration between manufacturer, wholesaler, and also retailer. So I only prepare this question, and a few questions. And next day, the question all the same. So I'm so great. Say, why? Maybe the God helped me that all the questions on the second day all follow me. Although the first day all not follow me. Finally, among 173 people examined, I'm the number one. I become the number one in terms of grade. So they take 5 people to go to Ministry of Education to oral defense. And I also pray to the God to say, please give me good question. And finally, I admit, I get a national scholarship, which is in marketing, only 1 people in 1 year. And then I go to the United States to take my PhD. Of course, before I go to United States, I award the honor of the God by one plate, which is about 2,000 NT dollars. The plate is very thin and like this. So by the 9th of September is the birthday of this small God. So he takes 500 or 1,000 plates together. He's very happy. Birthday. That means he already fulfilled so many people's wish. Then I say to the God, say, oh, can you please, you already honor me. So can you please give me the PhD? And okay, so about four and a half years, I get PhD. Then I revert to the God again, the same God. And after that, I say, oh, can you give me a professorship? Because I cannot find a job. And suddenly, two universities offer me the job. One is Sun Yat-sen University, and one is Cheung Kong. So I choose Cheung Kong to go. And after that, I say, can you place me to become a professor? And suddenly, in 3 or 4 years, I become professor. So I played this card for many years. And I don't know, is it incidence or not? Is it random or not random? I don't know if the God is so powerful or not. Why I read they appear to the next day? Why? So I still not really understand. But here say, don't try to create meaning out of the random effect. That means when you believe on the God, God may not help you every of the time, maybe due to lucky or whatever. So maybe based on continuous truth, not based on random event or based on coincidence. And then also increase your options. The more we have, the more options. It means we have increased decision alternatives for the using creativity in developing a wide range of diverse choice. And the more alternative we can generate, the more diverse of the alternative, and the greater the chance of finding an outstanding alternatives. Okay, so we need to increase our options and then make more broad range to be more innovative. And then here is common bias and errors in decision making. The first one, overconfidence bias. I think now Russian Putin is very overconfident. He originally say the capital of Ukraine will be done in 1 week, and the whole air space will be occupied in 24 hours. But now they also very afraid because even the air was destroyed by Russian. But still, for example, private network system. Also, for example, Moscow. He has a space system, and he used that to support Ukraine. So that means that more overconfidence when the people are intellectually weak, interpersonal also weak, interpersonal ability also weak. That means people are very close-ended, and also they have no chance to interact with other friends. They are more likely to be overconfident, overestimate. Okay. And also anchoring bias. Anchoring bias means fixation on the initial information as the starting point and failure to adequately adjust for subsequent information. And this is always me, because I teach so many years, So I always refer to something very many years ago. Fixation to the original and never do adjustment. Okay, so when I teach the student may say, "Oh, your refer is too old." Huh? For example, I teach you Amos, or I teach you POS, but they have already new techniques that very easily to solve the problem, but I just try to solve in more complicated ways. And this we call anchorage. Anchorage means fix on one point and never give up. And based on that point, maybe also mistake. The other one is confirmation bias. This is another type of selective perception to seek out information that we affirm past choice and discount information that contrasts past judgment. Okay, so we try to because maybe we try to have judgment based on our past experience, and to rationalize this judgment, we just try to seek more information to confirm that my judgment is correct. Okay, so sometimes it is not very correct. It is one argument today that Taiwan is very small, and then Taiwan can fight with China or not. And this is a very big issue. For example, they say, "Oh, Ukraine is very small," and then can Ukraine fight against Russia or not? And nobody knows the result, but sometimes we just say confirmation bias. For example, as I show you, say Chiang Kai-shek, by the year of 1967, he actually decided to. He actually recruit about 600,000 soldiers in Taiwan. Because when he come to Taiwan, then we say for example, me also go to military 2 years after I graduate from college. Every boy needs to go to. So total number is about 600,000. So he decided to go to Guangdong because Guangdong is the place that he lived. He gradually grew up as a general. Chiang Kai-shek was graduate in Japan as a soldier and then go to set up the base in Guangdong. So at the time they want to go, and they say, "Okay, I will occupy about 50,000 people first of all there, and make a connection with Taiwan, and gradually go up and try to." Because at the time it's time to start a Chinese Cultural Revolution. At that time, Chinese is very unstable, and many people died. But this idea was stopped by Americans. They always say B days, and then the days they want to go. But yes, the American is very smart. They have a lot of CIA. That means that even some department head or some professor become CIA employment. That means they are paid by CIA and together paid by here. So that's why, the American also get good information from Russian. I bet Russian, a lot of CIA inside. They will transfer the information to America. So Americans say Russia will go to Ukraine, but Putin say, "No, you mistake." But finally they go. That means they already get the information, and they already know that they will go. Another bias is availability bias, the tendency for people to base judgment on information that is readily available. Okay. And then next one is the escalation of commitment. Stay with the decision even when there is a clear evidence that it is wrong. And then sometimes it's due to whatever reason, for example, likely occur when individuals view themselves as responsible for the outcome. For example, Russian seems to say the decision is wrong. But even wrong, there is no choice but wrong again. That means they want to use more weapons to destroy the city, and even they want to use nuclear weapons because they know their original plan is wrong. But now how to do? Escalation of commitment. That means commit more, and maybe finally also lose more. Okay. In about 30 years ago, I and my wife, we are all teachers, but we decided to open a coffee shop. So to open a coffee shop, maybe need a lot of starting decoration, right? So I decided to put about $250,000 dollars to receive the decoration and so on, and hand over to me to hand over actually to my wife to become the manager of. That means by daytime we hire another person, but by nighttime we already off. Especially my wife at the time is teaching in high school, so after the class she has more time. But I don't know, maybe we don't do very well, and then the business not very good. Sometimes in one afternoon only 2 people come. But when we want to take over, they do another manipulation. So at the time we see in the afternoon maybe at least about 30 or 20 people. So in the night, very crowded. And there's 3 floors. The first floor is the desk, and the second floor is very dark. That means at the time that the ladies and boys, they want to no light. And then the third floor is nothing. And then I saw the business is poor and poor. So I decided to escape my commitment. I say, okay, the third floor is nothing now. I want to make a house, make a steel plate, and then to divide it into several rooms. So this room will be rent. So this take me another 100,000. So originally 250,000 already paid, right? So due to this mistake, I escalation another 100,000. And then, the rent, the house is not very good. There's not the toilet, there's 3 houses, but only 1 toilet. So they're very inconvenient. So also cannot. So in about 5 years, the total loss is about $500,000. Then I decide to negotiate with the owner, not me, the house is not me. Say I give up, and even I make a building for you, it's also sent to you. And then the landlord, the house owner say okay, then I transfer. And this is my mistake. Escalation. That means you already failed, but you don't feel that the fail is. You feel that fail can be recovered, therefore more money. And this may be the case of Russian also. they feel that original plan seems to fail. But how to do? Then more commitment, more commitment. And this is also what happened a lot. For example, in case of Vietnam War, or the American go on and on, but still something wrong. And then finally, they go to Iraq to be very successful, very fast, and destroy a new government. But when they go to Afghanistan, about 10 years, also cannot control, and then escape. So that's why, because of experience in Afghanistan, Biden decided not to go to Ukraine because it is very difficult. So escalation of commitment sometimes is very dangerous. That means if it is mistake, then we need to go back right away. Don't escalate. Escalate means put more effort on the failure. The next one is randomness error. A tendency to believe we can predict outcome of random event. So decision making become impaired when you try to create meaning out of random events. Okay, so I seem to be very lucky that I pray to the God and they fulfilled me, and I pray again and they honor me again. But finally, they will not honor you all the things, right? So recently I recognized this event, and I, because of my house, then moved to Tainan. Then Kaohsiung become very far away. So in about recent 5 years, I never go to pray with my God again. Maybe I pray very far from Tainan. I don't know if he will hearing me or not. So next one is risk aversion. So the tendency of the people prefer to assure things instead of risking one. We always say the diminishing rate of return. That means people normally risk averse. So in the beginning they take risk, but after that they will become risk averse, not so risky. Okay. Some other very special people, they have risk taking, but many people. For example, do you know one guy called Alexander the Great? Huh? Let me ask you, Alexander attacked your country or not? Do you know Alexander? Alexander is a very strong kingdom, and he actually does not obey with the kingdom. So he tried to escape and go to the east. So he go to Alapik, and Alapik become his territory. And he also married Alapik country people, but he still not agree, then still go to Turkey. And after to go to Turkey, I was heard he go to Myanmar. And the Myanmar used the elephant to become the soldier. Because you train the Alexander is very fast, similar like Mongolia. And then, to face upon this elephant, Alexander do not know how to do. He used the horse to fight, and then finally he failed and died at somewhere in Myanmar. I'm not very sure. I saw the movie. But on the other, he's the one very risk-taking. He don't care. He said, okay, Middle East, Turkey, East, we want to take everything. And then but on the other event, the same story that in China, one country also use elephant to fight, right? You know, we have one soldier called Stuguram,
Oh, yeah. I know.
and he is very smart.
Yeah.
He used machine tiger. That means the elephant come, right? But he used machine, means it made by wood, and then by it can open the mouth, something like that, and also explode with some color. That means the tiger can put the. So elephant become very confused. So all elephants just go away. That means the story is in Sichuan. 就是说六出祁山 and Zhuge Liang lead the troop to fight against the local people, and the local people very good on elephant control. That means by whistle or something, and then there's no enemy because the elephant is so big, and even you fight, you can even you fight with gun, elephant will not afraid. But suddenly, this Zhuge Liang is very smart. He said, "Don't worry. Tomorrow I have some method. You just go to rest." So he asked someone to do a machine, and machine is very big, and then the people try to push the machine, and then enemy do not know. The elephant do not know is it true or not. Okay, so this is also a kind of inside bias, the tendency to believe falsely that one has actually predicted the outcome of an event after the outcome is actually known. So these are some of the factors that influence our decision making. So today, due to time limit, we will stop here, and then we will continue. There's about 36 or 38 PPT, so we will stop here. And then we will continue next week. So next week, everybody should come here. Do you know that? Can you go to the picture? Okay, for our convenience, everybody need to give me a face. We want to make a camera. Hello? Can you show up your face one time? Then you are dismissed. 现在每一个你把那个脸叫出来好吗 ？OK， 可以。杨启优已经出来了。大家 ，because of online, we need to see your face one time. Can you all show your face?
Sorry, Professor, my laptop camera doesn't work, Professor.
Really? This 已经来这个，为什么？就是把我的画面关掉。那苏黎有在呢？苏黎 ，Are you there?
I'm here, Professor. Hello.
When we call him,
When you call you, you never there. Are you there?
Can you hear me, Professor? Hello.
About 1 hour ago, we call you many times. You never respond. So we already take you absent.
I am here, Professor. I don't think I got called, Professor. I didn't hear.
You get a code.
Yes.
maybe we can.
You get a copy?
No, he didn't hear.
Oh, didn't hear.
But before that, and my place didn't have electricity, Professor, so there was no internet.
Okay, everyone, show your face. 小题还有语言 Can you also you show your dog? Also, okay, good. That's fine. But show your face that we take a photo and then done. Can you hear me? For example, Yu Chen, can you show your face? Huh?
Hello?
Show your face.小迪 already shown.
老师，我
OK
是培云，我那个摄像头不能用，所以我用语言的手机用。
那语言呢？
对，这个语言在这里，老师我在这里。
啊，培云呢？培云，
我
培云等于
是
说，
我
培云在这里哦。
me，对 me，
对。还有王一珍，
me 是培云。
还有哪一个？哦，王一珍出来了。那这样，which one？
他们这样这里，他们
三个人都在这里啊。
是
啊，这个人林什么？林佳。Are you there? Can you see the photo? Some of you still not. For example, 怡婷、梁怡婷、can you show up? Hello?
哦，我在这啊。
哦，还有叶。
对。
还有易佩。
还有谁？
易佩。
说谁啊？
他要点到。
OK，那个 photo。
我不知道。
OK。
他说。
All right. So good to see you. All right, next week you need to come to the class, okay? Everybody know? Can you come to the class? Okay. See you next week.
Yes. See
All right. Maybe Suti, because he showed up, so we take the attendance again. 那苏黎是那个 OC 的人吗？
是。
啊，苏黎 ，Where are you now？ 已经下去了。因为我前几 status 已经找。Okay, so after dinner, come to me. After lunch.
Hello. 你们现在还没有到哦。所以到底怎么演？他已经12点过了。哈？
Hello.
哦，因为我刚直接飙车来，然后结果现在都没有人。